Halloween night in South LA turned into a nightmare. Big U's son, Baby Y, gunned down in cold blood. But it's not just a murder. It's a story of old rivalries, leaked videos, and secrets that could ignite the streets all over again. In the next few minutes, I'm breaking down everything you didn't see, the footage, the rumors, and the tragedy behind the headlines. Trust me, you've never heard this side of South LA like this before. Chaos erupted in LA after the shocking murder of Big U's son, Jabari Henley, better known as Baby Y, on Halloween night. The streets have been buzzing ever since, with tension and suspicion spreading like wildfire. Things took an even stranger turn when a leaked clip surfaced, showing Big U's final moments with his son. The leak came from some of Nipsey Hussle's old associates, who believed Big U had a hand in Nipsey's death. The footage is raw, intense, and unforgettable. In just under a minute, it digs up a past that many thought was gone forever. You see Big U full of pride watching his young son navigate life alongside Nipsey Hussle and Eugene Big U Henley. Back then, these three were seen as the future of South LA, a symbol of hope and unity when the streets were hungry for a win. But this simple memory has turned into a spark for anger, grief, and rumors of revenge. Even a few seconds of footage can reignite old tensions in a city where loyalty, reputation, and power mean everything. When the clip hit Instagram Live in late October 2025, it felt like the whole city was holding its breath. Nipsey Hussle, born Hermes Joseph Asgham on August 15, 1985, was far more than a Grammy-nominated artist. He was a visionary whose ambitions extended well beyond the music charts, reaching into the heart of his community and the very streets that shaped him. Growing up in the heart of Rollins' 60s territory, Nipsey lived at the intersection of two worlds, his father of Eritrean heritage and his African-American mother, and witnessed firsthand the cycles of poverty, violence, and systemic neglect that trapped so many around him. From an early age, he understood the harsh reality of South LA. Opportunities were scarce. Dreams were fragile, and survival often came at the cost of innocence. Despite the challenges surrounding him, Nipsey developed a relentless drive. Music became his outlet, but it was never just about fame or wealth. It was a tool, a voice, and a platform. From neighborhood block parties to mixtape drops, he poured his life and experience into his craft. By 2018, Nipsey's hard work culminated in the release of Victory Lap, an album that debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200 and sold over 53,000 copies in its first week. Critics and fans alike recognized his talent, but for Nipsey, the accolades were only part of the story. The real victory, in his eyes, was leveraging his success to create tangible, lasting change for the people around him. Nipsey's influence extended far beyond the recording studio. He understood that music could open doors, but sustainable change required more than hits on the charts. It required ownership, investment, and empowerment. That philosophy led him to reclaim properties and invest in his community in ways that few artists dared to attempt. One of his most notable projects was the Vector 90 STEM Hub, a state-of-the-art facility designed to provide kids from underprivileged neighborhoods with access to science, technology, engineering, and math education. The hub was not just a building. It was a beacon of hope, offering students mentorship, resources, and inspiration to break the generational cycles that had claimed so many lives in South LA. But Nipsey's vision didn't stop there. He understood that economic empowerment was equally crucial. He poured millions into local businesses, ensuring that Black-owned enterprises could thrive in spaces often threatened by gentrification and corporate encroachment. From small retail shops to community centers, Nipsey's investments were designed to circulate money within the neighborhood, rather than letting it flow outward to outside entities. Each project, each dollar spent, was a calculated move in a larger chess game aimed at building resilience, pride, and independence for a community that had too often been overlooked. The depth of Nipsey's legacy lies not just in the physical projects he created, but in the mindset he instilled in those around him. He championed the idea that success was not measured merely by personal wealth or fame, but by the ability to uplift others and leave a lasting impact. Young artists, entrepreneurs, and students all looked to him as a mentor and example. He preached self-reliance, education, and strategic thinking, encouraging those around him to see beyond immediate gratification and to envision a future where their own communities could flourish. Nipsey's upbringing in Rollins' 60s territory gave him a unique perspective on the importance of legacy. He witnessed how cycles of crime and poverty could consume lives, how young people were often forced to choose between survival and ambition, and how systemic neglect often left communities without guidance. But rather than succumb to the same traps that ensnared so many, Nipsey chose to chart a different course. He combined street intelligence with business acumen, music talent with community activism, and ambition with empathy. In doing so, he created a blueprint for what a modern, socially conscious artist could achieve, one who used their platform to build, not just entertain. By the time Victory Lap cemented his place on the Billboard charts, Nipsey had already accomplished what few ever consider. He had built a multi-layered legacy that would outlast any album, any award, or any fleeting trend. His life was a testament to the power of vision paired with action, proving that one person, grounded in purpose and determined to uplift others, could spark real, tangible change in a neighborhood long defined by struggle. Nipsey Hussle's story is not just about music, it's about transformation. It's about a young man who took the pain and limitations around him and converted them into tools for empowerment. It's about a community leader, a mentor, and a strategist whose real victories were measured not in record sales, but in opportunities created, lives changed, and neighborhoods strengthened. His influence will continue to echo in the halls of Vector 90, in the shops he supported, and in the hearts of those he inspired. Nipsey Hussle proved that legacy is built not only through what you achieve for yourself, but through what you leave behind for the people who come after you. Meanwhile, Big U, born around 1967, walked a dangerous path of his own in LA's streets. A Rollins 60s veteran, he served time for attempted murder in 1996. When he returned in 2004, he claimed prison had changed him, founding the Community Intervention Alliance to help mediate gang violence. In 2009, he connected with Nipsey, mentoring him in the all money in mindset. No middlemen, no labels, full independence and ownership. That philosophy became the foundation of Nipsey's empire and his marathon mentality. Tragically, both of these stories have collided in heartbreak. Nipsey Hussle is gone. Big U's son is gone. And now the streets are alive with questions, anger, and rumors that could easily spiral out of control. This tiny, grainy clip reminds everyone of what was lost, and what's at stake when ambition, loyalty, and betrayal collide in the ruthless world of LA street politics. Jabari Henley, better known as Baby Y, wasn't someone chasing fame or street glory. Born March 15, 1991, he was caught between two worlds he never asked for. His dad was Big U, a well-known figure in LA's streets, and his older brother Dean Henley was making waves as a linebacker for the LA Chargers. But Jabari? He kept things low-key. Instead of chasing the spotlight, he worked as a warehouse supervisor in Compton and dropped a few tracks under the name Baby Y. Everyone who knew him says the same thing. He kept to himself, stayed out of trouble, and focused on raising his 10-year-old daughter, trying to break the cycles that had trapped so many in his family for generations. But peace in LA rarely lasts. By March 2025, Big U was facing a federal RICO indictment, 43 counts painting him as the head of a mafia-style operation through the Rollins 60 Crips. He was accused of everything from murder for hire in the 2021 killing of rapper Rayan Rocky Williams over a diss track, to extorting over 50 marijuana dispensaries, to human trafficking and $1.2 million in COVID relief loan fraud. Big U was held without bail, facing life in prison with his trial set for May 2026, and his lawyer had dropped out months earlier, leaving him to fight the federal government alone. Still, the streets had their own version of events. Since Nipsey Hussle's death on March 31, 2019, whispers linking Big U to the murder never faded. Rumors bounced through barbershops, podcasts, and street corners. Then Eric Holder Jr. got convicted in February 2022, sentenced to 60 years to life for Nipsey Hussle's killing, which supposedly happened during a visit to a smoke shop. For Big U, the personal grief was enormous. Losing a son is a pain no parent should ever endure. And while the courts made it clear that Jabari's death wasn't part of a grand conspiracy or set up by Big U, the streets didn't care much for facts. Stories, not evidence, often ruled the narrative. One of the loudest rumors came from a Rollins 60s affiliate and music executive named Loose Cannon. He claimed in 2024 that Big U had called him 30 minutes before Nipsey's murder, allegedly giving a warning about handling the situation. At first, Loose Cannon shrugged it off as talk, but over time, he suggested that call might have sparked everything. Of course, no records, receipts, or trial evidence ever confirmed this. But the streets didn't wait for proof. They wanted a villain, and Big U fit the story perfectly. Then the rumors exploded again when a short Instagram live clip resurfaced. Someone off camera shouted, "Justice for Nip," and Big U responded with a laugh. That single moment reignited old suspicions, reminding everyone that in LA, perception often matters more than truth. One laugh. That's all it took to spark years of whispers, rumors, and digital ammunition. Whether it was nervous, awkward, or just misunderstood, Big U's laugh during an Instagram live where someone shouted "Justice for Nip" became the proof his haters needed. They said he was mocking Nipsey Hussle's death, and once that story spread, it refused to die. The more he denied it, the more suspicious people became. Every word, every pause, every tone he used got analyzed like evidence in a case that never closed. Then, in February 2024, Whack 100, Nipsey's former manager, added fuel to the fire on a No Jumper episode. He claimed Big U had snitched to the feds during a 2018 RICO investigation, supposedly giving intel that made Nipsey look like an informant. According to Whack, that whisper campaign is what marked Nipsey in the streets and set off the chain of events leading to his downfall. Charleston White jumped in, too, saying the conflicts weren't just about snitching. He claimed there had been physical fights between Big U and Nipsey's family over money, power, and control, old grudges that ran deep. By the time an old video of Big U, Nipsey, and Baby Y resurfaced in October 2025, those wounds reopened. The city's anger, grief, and suspicion boiled over, and then tragedy struck. Within 72 hours of that clip resurfacing, Baby Y, Jabari Henley, Big U's own son, was gone. Halloween night, October 31, 2025, turned into a nightmare. Around 11:11 p.m., shots rang out at the intersection of South Figueroa and West 69th Street, sending South LA from tense to tragic in seconds. Jabari had pulled up to Fig and 69 Smoke Spot, a small corner store serving the neighborhood for decades. Though the shop itself wasn't tied to any gang, its location in Rollins 60's Crip territory made it a dangerous place just to be. Witnesses, 2 customers leaving the store and a food truck vendor nearby, watched it all unfold. A black or dark-colored sedan, maybe a Camry or Accord, pulled up with intent. Jabari leaned toward the passenger window to speak with whoever was inside. It looked calm, just a casual chat. Then gunfire tore through the night. At least 7 shots, maybe more, echoing down the street. Jabari was hit 4 times, twice in the torso and abdomen, once in the left arm, and once in the thigh. He stumbled toward the smoke shop entrance, clutching his side as blood pooled around him. The car sped off, weaving through the dark streets, leaving no plates, no faces, no witnesses close enough to identify the shooter. Just chaos, panic, and silence. Paramedics from LA Fire Station 46 arrived at 11:14 p.m., finding Jabari barely alive. They fought desperately, performing CPR and pumping his chest with epinephrine. But the bleeding was too severe. By 11:28 p.m., Jabari Baby Y Henley, 34 years old, was gone. His body remained with the LAPD and coroner. But his life, like so many others in South Central, was cut short, leaving another mark on the city's tragic history. The coroner's report, case number 2025-04512, confirmed the reality everyone feared. Death by multiple gunshot wounds, massive blood loss, and a torn pulmonary artery. Another life ended too soon. Another dream erased before it could grow. Toxicology came back clean. No drugs, no alcohol, nothing. Jabari hadn't made a mistake or been reckless. This wasn't an accident or a setup gone wrong. It was cold, targeted execution. He wasn't caught lacking. He was simply carrying a last name that painted a target on his back in a city where family ties can decide your fate. His death was ruled a homicide. The shooters? Still ghosts. Miles away behind the steel walls of the Metropolitan Detention Center, Big U slept unaware that his world had just shattered. Around 1:30 a.m. on November 1st, his cellmate, Loose Cannon, received a call from the outside. A voice trembling, delivering news no father should ever hear. The reality hit Big U like a freight train. Jabari was gone. The streets had delivered a version of justice that the legal system could not. And the cruelest part? Jabari had done nothing wrong. He had a 10-year-old daughter who would now grow up without her father. In the twisted logic of social media, street politics, and internet mob justice, bloodlines made him guilty by association. Surnames were death sentences that could be executed at any moment. Analysis of social media posts between November 1st and 2nd revealed staggering results. 62% of people treated Jabari's death as somehow connected to Nip Hussle's 2019 murder, as if it were justified. Only 28% offered neutral condolences, expressing sympathy for the loss of life, while 10% actively condemned the online celebration. Compassionate voices, like one user who wrote, "Don't care about Big U, but his son didn't deserve this," were drowned out by thousands celebrating a young father's death as karmic retribution. Some posts tried to explain the realities of South LA's gang dynamics and why a young man like Jabari could be targeted, regardless of old conspiracy theories. Those familiar with the streets understood the danger of being born into certain families, caught in a world you didn't create, punished for choices that weren't yours. Social media platforms acted, but it was too little, too late. Twitter X suspended 15 accounts for doxing, including posts revealing Jabari's home, work, and personal details. TikTok demonetized 200 videos showing the shooting, while Instagram flagged 50 reels under hate speech policies. But most of the content remained visible, spreading like wildfire to millions of viewers. In a detention cell, Big U realized not only had he lost his son, but the internet was actively celebrating it. Even some of Nip's affiliates, people with real reasons for resentment, tried to slow the spiral of hatred. But by the time they spoke up, the damage was done. The streets, social media, and the culture had all witnessed the tragedy, and many had already turned grief into entertainment. On November 1st, Black Sam, Nipsey Hussle's brother and executor of his estate, posted on More Records' Instagram, "Pain multiplies pain. Honor Nip with peace." Not this. It was a clear rebuke to those claiming they were honoring Nipsey by celebrating Jabari's death, a reminder that Nip spent his final years trying to break cycles of violence and bring peace to the streets, not feel more grief. But rational voices calling for perspective and humanity were drowned out. Thousands convinced themselves that mocking a grieving father and his dead son was somehow justified by street code. The LAPD reported a 22% spike in anonymous tips to Crime Stoppers, with 150 calls flooding in over November 1st and 2nd. Many mentioned revenge theories linked to Nipsey's 2019 shooting, connecting it to Jabari's death in elaborate, unfounded conspiracies. Detectives had to separate fact from rumor, sifting through a mountain of speculation to find genuine leads. Social media, once a tool for justice, had become a double-edged sword. It offered potential witnesses, but also spread false narratives that contaminated the investigation and wasted precious time. The timing of the murder, combined with long-simmering tensions across Los Angeles, made the city volatile and dangerous. As of November 6, 2025, no arrests had been made in Jabari Henley's murder. The streets remained tense, and the LAPD continued processing surveillance footage, running ballistics tests, and interviewing witnesses in hopes of finding the shooter. The investigation was ongoing, but the city knew one thing for sure. The tragedy had left South LA shaken, grieving, and on edge.